Hi, I'm Michelle Suzuki. I'm the CMO at Commerce, and I'm here today with Travis Hess.
Michelle, you look familiar.
As do you.
Thank you.
Thank you, CEO of Commerce. We just launched Commerce as a brand last week.
We did?
Tell me more about that.
Geez, I've talked a lot about it, but yeah, it's a culmination of probably 9-10 months worth of work of integrating the three brands very deliberately, organizationally, and strategically, both on the product and go-to-market side as well. And really wanted to land on something that synthesized and articulated where it is that we are in market, where it is that we're going, and felt like it was a big enough description, obviously a very broad term that defines what we feel is the new paradigm shift in the industry, which felt very apropos given all the work that we've done and where we kind of see the industry going. So excited to have brought all of that together in really a short period of time and in a public market.
Yeah, and you've been working on this for a while, right? You started bringing in a new executive team as soon as you started?
I did, yeah. It started early last June, I guess. Within a couple of months, I had some new senior folks in, and obviously it was off to the races from there. So yeah, this has been a labor of love for almost a year, but it's felt like 3 months, but it's been some days it feels like 3 years. Just depends on everything going on, but no, it's been great. We've accomplished a lot and metabolized a lot of change in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
So lots of hard work cross-functionally, lots of change management, lots of transformation, and really kind of oriented to a direction that authentically, I think, fits the three brands and fits the culture that we've been building here. So really exciting to bring that to fruition.
Very exciting. Tell me about how the three brands fit together now underneath that umbrella of Commerce.
Yeah, I think they all have their unique, they had their own unique cultures, certainly. Two were acquired, obviously Feedonomics 3 or so years ago, Makeswift maybe a year and a half ago, give or take. Both predated me actually, and both with vibrant cultures in their own way. So part of the integration was making sure we ingested those cultures, blended it with a really proud established BC culture, and kind of harmonized that together. And there was a really deliberate framework and methodology we went about doing that. At the same time, a lot of human capital and talent within those organizations as well to also be combined. And so as we went through this transformation, lots of moving pieces and parts in the background, lots of digestion of change, which isn't necessarily easy for everyone. And so we've been really deliberate about what it is we're doing, why it is that we're doing it, and where it is that we're going along the way to kind of, make that change a little bit more digestible. And just the combination of those three products, I think I said this early on when I joined and when I interviewed here, I just felt where the market was going in commerce, having been in it for 20 years, I felt like it had the best opportunity to optimally map to where I felt like the market was going to go. It wasn't that everything was perfect. Rarely our business is perfect. I just felt from an upside perspective, the three ingredients between BC, Feedonomics, and Makeswift actually fit perfectly where I felt the market was going. And then you combine that with a very open philosophy, a composable philosophy and methodology and orientation we have in market already, I think favors where agentic and AI and everything is kind of shifting the paradigm in commerce going forward. So all of that kind of harmonized in the launch. So
yeah, it's like everything just came together in so many facets.
It just came together.
AI is a huge thing right now. Everybody is changing the way they work and the way they go to market. Tell me a little bit more about how AI is playing into the new strategy for commerce.
Yeah, certainly it's sucking a lot of air out of the room. I think all my LinkedIn feed is inundated with everyone is obviously in and around AI, which is legit. I think everyone's having to embrace it because it's so effective and so impactful. I think, for us operationally, we've been leveraging it for a long time. And I think as we've transformed the organization, we've doubled our quota carrying capacity, we've really leveraged it internally to accelerate enablement and training and strategy and things like that. We're applying it to obviously the products as well. And then externally, it's really disrupting and changing the way that consumers shop and consumer behavior, unlike anything I've seen before in the space. Data in many regards is your new storefront. The rise of agentic and just discovery, at least by way of AI, is I think the fastest adopted technology in the history of mankind. So People are using it. They're going to use it more and more and more, and it requires a different motion. It requires a different value proposition. And I think that plays very, very well to what it is that we do and who it is that we do it with. And it just is a combination of a number of factors that I think puts us in an amazing position to take advantage of it and bring that value to our merchants.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about open. What's the advantage to being open when some competitors are building walled gardens?
Well, I understand the walled garden approach. I think depending on the dynamic of your business or your commercial model, it would make sense to protect the moat just based on how you get paid. I think for us, we've taken the opposite approach. I think certainly being smaller than maybe some of our competitors, we don't have the capital, the R&D budget to, be everything to everyone, obviously. And I've never wanted to get into some sort of arms race, if you will. Features and functions, I said this pretty clearly coming in, having spent, a couple of decades on the services side. I want business outcome, and I think the market wants business outcome. And I think being open also embraces the fact that disruption and value and innovation will come outside of our four walls. And our job is to actually make that ingestion and leveraging those capabilities and those differentiations with third parties easy, operationally, technically, strategically. And so the openness side of it is we're not looking to protect anything from our perspective. We're looking actually to enable advancement and value to our merchants. So we have core capabilities, certainly, but we're also embracing third-party ISVs and other capabilities to be kind of the belle of the ball when they need to be. And the same goes for transformation and services, right? We're providing a portion of that to go facilitate transformation that might be implemented and enabled either internally on client side or by a third-party GSI or another agency or SI partner. So it's philosophically something that existed before I got here, something I believe very strongly, and something that we're obviously doubling down on as we go forward.
Yeah. So we had our earnings call recently. We talked about a lot of great partnerships, especially around Feedonomics. Can you tell me a little bit more about how we're doubling down kind of in that AI space?
Yeah, I mean, as luck, fate, and strategy would have it, Feedonomics plays right in the center of what's going on with agentic right now, and what will continue to go on in agentic. Right now, it's centered around discoverability. Obviously, as consumer behavior has changed, you've got folks going obviously to these answer engines or LLMs, whatever vernacular you want to choose, and you're having contextual conversations as opposed to going to a search bar and putting in key terms and returning results. So that nuance and buyer behavior requires a marginally different strategy and nuance to be able to optimize for those sorts of use cases and experiences. Feedonomics, having been synthesizing, optimizing, and syndicating, product data for a long time now for some of the largest brands in the world, organically put us in a really unique position early on to start doing this on behalf of merchants into these answer engines. And you can imagine the interest there. And it's not just structured data, it's also unstructured data that can be now synthesized, optimized, and then synthesized and then syndicated rather out to these channels, which is wildly unique. And as this moves into shopping, customers through those experiences, shopping and checking out, it's going to introduce a whole new wave of obviously inventory and order orchestration that we feel like we are in a uniquely differentiated position to also provide a tremendous amount of value very, very quickly. So that's the angst in market right now. I think most folks are concerned about how do I optimize for these answer engines? Consumer behavior is changing. My search traffic's dropping off. I know I need to do something. And we're in a very unique position where we are doing this for very large brand and manufacturers and retailers. Later this year, we'll be launching a self-service version of Feedonomics. Our intention is to bring this obviously down market into the mid-market and SMB world as well. And data is, again, like I alluded to earlier, kind of your new storefront. It's kind of the belle of the ball right now. I don't see that going away. And it's going to feed a lot of other things that will go on as this model continues to evolve. So really exciting.
How does composability play into this AI motion?
Yeah, I mean, I think most folks that have been in the space would argue that composability lends itself to where all of this is going, right? I think the openness of being able to compose best in class, having optionality, having agile type opportunities to go where the market's going or to ingest capabilities that you need that map to where your business is and where it needs to go, as opposed to being, painted into a corner or locked in. When you're in a closed or a monolithic model, you're sort of at the mercy of the innovation and the model by which that closed ecosystem is ultimately going to work. So again, I'm not saying that's not for anybody. I think it's probably for a bunch of folks, but I think what you're seeing right now is, as the discoverability drops off, Feedonomics is already doing this on behalf of some of the largest organizations in the world. We intend to bring that down market to mid-market and small business very, very shortly. And when you combine that with a composable capability around storefront and things like that, along with MakeSwift, we feel like we are in a very unique position to go map to where the market is going, which is a really exciting place to be.
So on the earnings call, we talked a lot about AI. Is that really where the bulk of the focus of the company is?
Well, it depends on how you define bulk. It's certainly a portion of where the company is obviously investing. The vast majority is also going into what we call brilliant basics, which is really the rest of what we're doing around the three products. Like, this isn't just AI. Certainly that's being infused, and certainly we're playing with external AIs as well. But the reality of it is we have tons of things that we're investing in. I talked a little bit about this in earnings. We're going to have a self-service version of Feedonomics coming out later this year. We're going to have a self-service version of MakeSwift coming out, targeted early next year. We're going to have a BC payment option targeted early next year. Just to name a few, we've been pouring a ton of investment and evolution into the B2B side, as well as Catalyst. So no, it's not just AI. Certainly we're leveraging AI and all of those capabilities. But one of the things we did when I first came in, was put together a prioritization framework through our offerings group. So as we look collectively as a leadership team around product and engineering, all of those inputs are sort of synthesized and prioritized in that framework. So at any given time, we know exactly where we're going to place our bets. We obviously can't do everything. You've got, a specific amount of capital investment that we can go spend being a public company. But I think the harmony of bringing that team together and really prioritizing through that framework of where we feel are going to provide the maximum amount of return to our clients and merchants for the investment is really how we're kind of monitoring and managing this thing going forward. So yeah, it's all of the above, realistically.
So we've been talking a lot about AI. It's very applicable, of course, on the business to consumer side. Tell me more about kind of the B2B side of the world.
I think it's just as applicable in B2B. Dare I say, maybe more applicable in some ways, just given the dynamics and the complexity there, and just the buying thesis that we typically see in B2B. Certainly, there'll be doubters out there, contrarians, that would argue that maybe from a maturity perspective, they're less apt to embrace something like this. They're still trying to wrap their arms around like basic things like catalog and multiple price lists and contracts. And CPQ and things like that. I think the vast majority of B2B organizations struggle with two primary things. One, it's a cost savings thesis of they're doing things manually today that they would very much like to automate. So there's an enablement piece of that, and there's certainly a technology piece of that. I think AI could very much so accelerate that adoption. And then on the back office side, there tends to be a lot of complexity in back office with B2B. They tend to grow inorganically when they buy things. They tend to ingest, different back office systems, different sources of truth, just a lot of hair and weirdness on the back office. So I think there's a lot of applicability there. And then obviously we announced our partnership with Pros. They are probably the top AI-infused pricing optimization engine and CPQ engine out in market today. It fits perfectly into our business model. There's a great cultural fit with that organization as well. And that's just something that would take us, a long time to build or replicate. Why would we try to do that when they've already done it? They've already are established. Ingesting that into our capabilities as well massively widens our total addressable market, which is the intention. We're taking that business up market. And so we're looking to do anything that will, bring value to our merchants now and in the future, but at the same time, for investors and shareholders, grow the company. So we're trying to very deliberately, widen our TAM where we've seen value. We've seen a lot of success in B2B. on the platform side. And certainly we'd love to accelerate and expand that. We feel like this is a natural way to go and do it.
That's great. You talk about the partnerships, and I think we're really well known for having very strong partners in the industry. We're also really well known for having great relationships with our customers. How are we tapping into our customer base with the new brand and helping leverage what they're giving us as far as our strategy moving forward?
Yeah, I think, listen, when the core brand and the ticker symbol is named after your flagship platform, but you have these two other products, it's hard to not just be known as a platform. And we're proud of the platform, and we feel like we've got a massive amount of value that we bring to market every day on that platform. But this is a broader, more holistic strategy than just a platform, obviously. And so we felt like there was brand equity in both Feedonomics and MakeSwift. We wanted to protect that brand equity. They had their own clients, obviously, some of which overlapped with what we're doing on the platform side, some of which didn't overlap from the platform side. So as part of the transformation re-architecture of the business, it was done quite deliberately to be able to organically cross-sell, upsell. We think there's some goodness across the different product suite. Doesn't mean everyone needs to buy everything. I'm not implying that. We certainly have, Feedonomics is agnostic to platform. They certainly support any commerce platform out there quite proudly, and will continue to do that as those platforms fit those particular merchants. And to the extent that they don't, and it more aligns to what else we can offer as value, certainly we can take advantage of that. But that didn't really exist before. And then when you had the three brands kind of compartmentalized and the organizations within the business compartmentalized, that's a very unorthodox, sort of awkward move. So I think the benefit to client and the intake of client is really now it's a more holistic vision. It's a more holistic go-to-market, and certainly a more holistic model as we serve merchants going forward. And I would expect that to get more harmonious as we continue through the journey.
Excellent. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I would love to know what's one thing that you found most surprising about the rebrand.
I mean, I'm not just saying this because I'm on your podcast. I am shocked and awed, not to borrow a Donald Rumsfeld term, that we did this as quickly as we did and flawlessly as we did. Quite frankly, I've been part of this before. This is usually a really heavy lift. Lots of traps and challenges along the way, which I suspect there were, and obviously there were. But to jam this out in the short amount of time that we did in a public market while integrating two other acquired businesses, bringing in the talent that we did and orienting the entire team towards a singular focus, and the amount of time that we did, pretty remarkable. I certainly had that expectation, or we wouldn't have set off on this mission. I'm surprised at how easy it felt, I guess, which is a compliment to the folks that were involved in driving a lot of it, and yourself obviously included. But it felt way easier than it probably should have felt. I don't feel like it prematurely aged me any more than I've already been prematurely aged. So.
I have prematurely aged in this process, but it's been delightful. I think for me, it's been such a satisfying motion seeing this entire team come together. We're not the hugest company in the world, but everyone in the company really rallied around and supported us. Every team cross-functionally really helped out the marketing team so that we could get the right message to the right audiences at the right time and have it be a consolidated voice to the market. So
that's great.
Thanks for that. So what's next? What should we be looking for?
I mean, I think you're already starting to see it. A little more bravado in the messaging, a little more confidence in what it is we're doing in market. We've been deliberately quiet for some time. I think you look at the share price, you look at some of the headwinds macroeconomically, just in general, kind of this on again, off again tariff situation, people not knowing how that's going to impact or not impact clients. We don't really have as much visibility into like their supply chain. So it's hard to get kind of predicting metrics as to how that might impact it. So we've been very conservative in our forecast. We've been conservative in how we've approached it. And we've not, despite doing a lot of stuff with AI behind the scenes, we've not been very hand wavy about it. We really wanted to wait for all of this to kind of come together and have a consolidated message and a narrative, because it's just important that this lands internally as it does externally. It's part of the culture build here is you've got to get people to buy in. They don't buy in, it doesn't resonate authentically. It's hard to retain talent. It's hard to bring more talent in. And it's hard to do the type of work and transformation we set out to do. So we've been very deliberate, I guess, in how we've kind of put this together, which isn't necessarily visible on the outside world, but there's been a method to the madness. And I think I'm really excited to start playing a little more offense than defense, if you want to use a sports analogy. And I think a lot of us have been chomping at the bit to go compete. And I feel very strongly, as I did a year ago, we have the opportunity to win and take a more dominant position. And I think stand behind what it is that we built here. And I'm thrilled to be able to go do that. We're now in execution mode. So yeah. I'm stoked to be able to go out and actually execute against that strategy. So
love it. And I love your use of the word stoked. It's very you. I am so grateful that you took the time to sit with me today. If anybody has any questions, please visit us at commerce.com and we will be back with you again very soon. Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Michelle.